You're listening to the Getting Into Alignment podcast with your host, Alexa Ray Smith. I am an energetic mentor for women in life and biz. I am here to help you energetically align with all of your desires. I help you do this by reprogramming your subconscious mind, manifesting your dreams, and quantum leaping your success. Each episode is going to be a coaching moment filled with life-changing information, tools, and concepts, activating you to create the most out-of-this-world life. This podcast is for the woman who is ready to have it all. The woman who wants to create a limitless life on her own terms. The woman who wants to build an empire, have spiritual wealth, and abundance in all areas of her life. It's time to raise your standards and elevate your frequency because your dream life is ready to be claimed. Welcome back to the podcast, babes. I am so excited to be here and to be here with you. If you are new to my world and you're new to this podcast, I'm so excited to have you here. This is actually going to be the start of the podcast. We are starting over. We're starting from scratch. I have deleted all of the other episodes, and this is now going to be episode 1. Now, there's a few reasons for that. Because when I started this podcast, I didn't do it out of desire. I did it out of feeling like I needed to do it. And it had become so weighted, and I felt so much pressure on myself to start this podcast, self-induced pressure, mind you, that I wasn't loving it. I wasn't loving the episodes. I was finding resistance after resistance after resistance. But so much has changed in my life, in my world, in my business since I started this podcast last August, I think, is when we started releasing episodes. And I have decided now that it's the time. The universe is yelling at me, girl, start this podcast up. And I know that it's not just for me, but it's for you. So how this podcast is going to go is I am going to really talk about the downloads that I've been getting from the universe, the insights that I've been working with, the life experiences that I'm navigating and moving through. I really want to use this platform as a space for you to be able to get access to my energy, my frequency. And let's be real, if you're someone that is new into the personal development world, if you haven't worked on your money mindset yet, if you haven't ever invested in a coach, then it is intimidating as fuck. The prices are going to trigger you if you are new to this world. So when I started in personal development, I literally went through so many podcasts. I binged podcast after podcast. I binged YouTube. I binged free content. I took as many courses as I could, whether they were free, whether they were paid at a smaller investment price, whatever I could do to get access to this information, to be in the world of people who were no longer living in the world and life that I was told I had to live by. Because reality programs you, society programs you to really accept that you are meant to settle and you're meant to struggle throughout your entire life. And I have come to know in my heart of hearts that that is fucking bullshit. And the only reason you live your life by those standards is because those are the standards you have set for yourself. Okay? Standards are what your life is going to reflect back to you. And standards are something that you get to decide at any moment. A decision is what changes your life. A decision backed with action, that is what moves the needle forward in life, in business, in growth, in everything. It takes a conscious decision on your part, and then you need to energetically align with that decision. Because if you declare something to the universe, if you set a standard in your life, and then the universe gives you an example, gives you an experience, gives you a situation immediately after or shortly after you've set that standard, and that experience, that situation if it is going to present you with an opportunity to either reinforce that standard or to settle, to drop, to go back to what you had previously allowed in your life, because everything that happens in your life, you have room for. And that is hard to hear and triggering when you're newly into this world, but I am here to trigger you, okay? If I was not triggered by the podcast, by the YouTube, by the YouTube videos, by the books, by the information that I had consumed that allowed me to propel myself into the life that I have now, it wouldn't have happened. Because let's be honest, this isn't easy work. It is so much easier to wake up and do the same bullshit day in and day out, complain about how you have no money, complain about your boss, complain about how you hate your career, go drinking with your friends, and then binge out on Netflix all night while eating fast food. That's easy as fuck. Anybody can do that, and that's why 99% of the world does that. And they do it for their whole damn life. But this podcast, it's not for those people. Unless it's one of those people who's deciding in this moment that they are going to have a better life. And it all starts with you making a decision and then holding yourself to it. Because what people don't talk about enough, especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur, is if you cannot trust yourself, if you cannot stick with the commitments that you make to yourself, you are not going to be able to trust yourself in business. You're not going to be able to trust yourself with clients. You're not going to be able to trust yourself to sell products. You won't be able to trust in what you do. So making decisions and then holding yourself accountable to those decisions allows you to build self-trust. And self-trust is at the foundation of the majority of the work that we will do together. Whether it's personal growth or professional growth, you have to be able to trust yourself, especially if you have a service-based business. Because as a service-based business owner, you are your business. Yes, you might create coaching packages. You might have programs that people can enroll in. You might have masterminds, whatever it is. But ultimately, if people don't trust that you know what you're talking about, if people don't trust that you can help them get to where you're saying you can, if people don't trust you enough to invest their time, energy, and money with you, then it's not going to happen. And it is going to be a direct reflection of your lack of trust in yourself. Because everything that is happening in your outside world is something that is trying to help you grow into the person you were meant to be. Every situation is an opportunity for you to expand your consciousness level, is an opportunity for you to decide differently. If you are not happy with your life now, whether it's your entire life or a certain aspect of it, you get to decide in this moment that it gets to be different. You get to decide in this moment that it gets to be better. You get to decide now that you're going to hold yourself accountable for building your dream life. And these decisions and what you energetically back these decisions with, these are what are going to create the standards in your life. I have had a motto for many years now that I've said, I don't settle. I raise my standards. I raise my vibration. And I mean that. I used to be the woman who thought I had to settle. I had to settle for whatever I could get. I had to settle for the little bit of money that I was making. I had to settle for working in a career that absolutely sucked my soul out. I had to settle for things that I was told were available for me, when that's complete bullshit, because this is a limitless world where everything is available for you. If the only limitation that exists is you, and you get out of your own way, then there is nothing in front of you except limitless possibilities. So when you take that self-ownership of, hey, maybe I haven't been policing my thoughts. maybe I have been allowing myself to worry, doubt, fear. And worrying, doubting, and fearing is literally a prayer to the universe for what you don't want. Okay? You can manifest what you want all day long by thinking about what you want, by speaking it into existence, literally abracadabra. What you're speaking, the universe is hearing and the universe delivers to you. If you're not consciously speaking, if you're allowing yourself to complain, if you're allowing your mind to worry, what you feed energetically is what grows in your life. It's what you're going to end up experiencing. And we haven't been taught this. From a young age, we have been taught to do the exact opposite of what gets us everything that we want. And then we're shocked when we live a life for 30 years and it's miserable because we gave our power away. We believed the bullshit that we were told our entire lives, that we have to accept what we have, that we have to strive and work hard, that money isn't available to us, that resources are running out. And it's all not true. But you have to make the conscious decision that you're going to decide to think differently. You are going to speak differently. You are going to show up differently. You are going to energetically be a different version of yourself. Because here's the thing, right? Time does not exist in a linear point A to point B. That is what man decided to use as a measurement of life. The universe, God, the world, nature does not operate in time. Time is a limitation that exists on the 3D planet because it's a social construct that we've allowed to be true in our lives. So when you realize that time gets to be malleable, that there are multiple timelines existing right now at this moment, and every single reality is available to you. Your worst case life and your best possible reality, they're all two heads on the same coin. And you're consciously or unconsciously creating one or the other at every single moment. But at any single moment, you can decide to flip that coin over. And that is when you get this surge of energy, when you feel alive again, when you are so activated by your life, by life in general. That is when life gets to be fun, playful, and magical, because you're no longer operating in the limitations of the world that you were told you had to live in. And instead you say, I am a conscious creator of my own reality, and I am consciously creating it at every single moment. So how do I choose to be now? Knowing that the concept where you have to get something to be something and then have it is completely ass backwards. And what you really need to do is realize that if you are looking for more money in your life, money is just a term that we've applied to a thing. In all reality, that's all it is. So if you take the money out of it, what is the meaning that you associate with money? Most people want to feel free. Most people want to have choices. Most people are looking for the freedom that money allows people to have. It is not the money itself, it is the feeling of freedom. So if you realize that, then you can have no money right now and you can still feel free. And how revolutionary is that? When you can feel free, when you've been told by every single person, every banker, all of the financial institutions that you are trapped. If you're in debt, you're trapped. But why? What if you are only trapped because you believe you're trapped? And what if you decide to set yourself free now because you have the power to do that at every moment with everything? And now money is super weighted, but it's just a good concept to use because almost every single person on the planet has money issues because of the way our society has taught us to think about money and to operate around it. But ultimately, that's the same with anything. If you want to feel love in your life, if you want to have love in your life, it's the feelings that you're looking for. So when you can embody the feelings now, instead of waiting for the person, instead of waiting for the money, instead of waiting for the car, instead of waiting for the thing that you think you need to have so that you can feel a certain way, start feeling that way now. Because when I tell you that you can energetically align with your desires, I am saying that your feelings are going to allow you to propel yourself into a higher vibrational timeline, or they're going to drag you down into one of the lower vibrational timelines. And they're always existing, right? So there's always this dance between you and the universe and where you're showing up and how you're being. And the universe is constantly responding to you. That's it. The law of attraction means that you are attracting life experiences and things based on how you are energetically showing up in this moment now. And that's why so many people fuck up the law of attraction, and so many people don't think that manifestation works because they are still waiting for something to come into their life so they can feel some way, aka they're stuck in a vibration of lack, desperation, need, and want. None of those exude the energy of having the thing. And when you can have the thing internally, when you can feel the freedom, when you can feel the love, when you can feel the support, when you can feel safe, when you can feel the feelings that you've always wanted to feel, when you have all of the things, then the universe goes, oh shit, she's not playing around anymore. We better quickly realign this reality, because the reality that this girl is living right now does not match the vibrational standard that she's putting out. And we tried to send some experiences that were aligned with how she has been living, and she just held her ground. She set her standards and she said, no, that's not how I live anymore. That's not who I be. That's not how I operate. I am refusing to allow this situation, this person, this circumstance to show the universe that I'm going to be the old version of myself still. I have made a decision. I have set a standard, and I am going to uphold it. And I'm going to keep upholding it until the universe shows me a reality that matches my standards. And at that point, I will continue to hold this standard as a bare minimum in my life. And then you get to work on upping that standard, whether it is with the amount of money that you make, whether it is with the amount of clients that you have in your business, whether it is with the amount of friends that are in your world, whatever it is, you can more easily energetically align with something when you have aligned with it on a smaller scale. So if it's something that is so out of this world for you that you've never experienced it, then start small. You don't want to try and manifest $1 million when you've never had more than $3,000 in your bank account. Because if you can't energetically align with $3,000 in your bank account, there's no fucking way your brain can even actually hold the idea of $1 million. It is going to send your body into fight or flight, and you are going to not manifest anything, and you'll actually probably manifest bills, because you are going to be so taken out of the vibration of abundance because you haven't been comfortable. So work your way up with these things. If you've never been in a long-term relationship, don't try and manifest your life partner. Try and manifest someone that you can be in a relationship with for some times, that you can get to know, that you can feel comfortable with. Start small, and when you can build the momentum, that's when you get to quantum leap. But don't try to quantum leap into something when you've never even dipped your toe in the water of the thing that you're trying to get. And quantum leaping is literally just you, in the fastest timeline possible, getting what you want in such a fast way that it proves that time isn't linear, that it doesn't have to take a long time for something to happen. Time is not the measurement of the thing happening. Your energetic standards on what you can hold and what you allow in your life, that is the point that determines it. So you need to work on your standards. That is what I want you to realize. If you want to create the most out of this world life, it starts with raising your standards in all areas of your life, raising them comfortably in places that you can get behind. So that way you can start really playing with the energetics behind it. Because there's so much mindset work that is involved. There's practical action that's needed. But energetically, if you can't have all three of them, it's never going to be sustainable. So this is what I work with my clients on. How can we really look at the standards that we've been allowing in our life and ask ourselves if these are what we are willing to carry with us, or if we're deciding now that we are going to choose more, to go bigger, to allow ourselves to really play in the quantum world, the limitless realities that are available to us. I understand that if you're new to this, the concepts and the words and the way that I phrase things, they might be above the consciousness level that you're currently at. But understand that the more you hear these things, the more your subconscious mind is grabbing a hold of them and is starting to play with them and feel them out in your world. So don't allow yourself to feel like you aren't ready to hear this, because if you found yourself here, you are ready. And all of this information and all of these terms and concepts, they will become familiar to you. The more that you do this work, the more that you're in this world. I posted today on my Instagram and it said, if it's not out of this world amazing, then I'm not here for it. This is a standard that you get to set in your life. Claim it, declare it, receive it. So you have to get really clear on what your standards are. Why you allow yourself to lower your standards. What do you get when you lower your standards? I know that this is a weird concept to play with, but when you lower your standards, there's a reason why. Because you're afraid of failing, because you're afraid of success, because you're comfortable where you are. There's always something that you're getting, and that's why you're allowing yourself to lower them. Now, when you do lower them, I want you to ask yourself, what do you get when you lower them? So a good example I like to use is when people are sick and they're really sick. It's typically because they're constantly focusing and talking about how sick they are. And because they keep talking about it, they keep allowing themselves to show up as a sick person. And now, what do they get from that? When they allow themselves to be sick, they have people who are constantly checking up on them. They get to not go to work. They get to do less. You know what I mean? Like there's something that they're gaining out of it. And perhaps they always felt really unsupported or unloved. And now they love the attention that they're getting, that they're sick. You have to realize that even though most people would be like, well, I don't want to be sick. Like, of course, this isn't me. That is a victim mentality. So you have to ask yourself, when you lower your standards, when you allow yourself to be more of a victim, what are you getting out of it when you do that? Because that is your inner child. That is your wounded ego. The parts of you that are allowing yourself to let fear be the determining factor on how you show up. So that's what I mean when I say, what do you get when you lower them? Now, also, I want you to get clear on what do you lose when you do. When you do lower your standards, what are you losing out on? You're losing out on your best possible life, but I want you to get super clear on this, because the clearer you are, the faster you'll be able to witness yourself when you lower standards understand why you're allowing yourself to do that, catch yourself in the moment, and energetically align with the new standard you are deciding to have in your life. It would be super helpful for you to journal out these last questions, to really ask yourself, when do I lower my standards? What do I get when I lower my standards? What do I lose when I lower my standards? Why do I allow myself to lower my standards? And there's journaling prompts on the post on my Instagram page, so you don't have to write them. If you just want to go to my Instagram at Alexa Ray Smith, you'll see that post right there and go to the bottom, and those journaling prompts are there for you. If this episode activated you and you're excited to go deeper, I have spaces open for private mentorship right now. My Voxer only coaching, and that is monthly. And you have access to me at the tips of your fingers. Whenever you need me, I'm there. Where we are going to go deep into your mindset, your energetics, and where you're currently at. So that way we can assess how you can elevate them and really create a new life on your own terms. So if you are interested in any of these options, you can always DM me on Instagram if you have any questions, or I do have an app that you can fill out right on my website if you go to alexaraysmith.com. And until next time, I just appreciate you so much. I appreciate you being here. I am so grateful that you are taking this time to work on yourself, to really commit to your dreams. And I know how difficult it can be when you are still living in a world surrounded by people that don't understand this and they don't get it. And it can feel really isolating and super lonely, but you're not alone. And I want you to know that your life is going to be so juicy, so satisfying, so out of this world amazing, as long as you commit to that, as long as you set that as a standard. And that's what I want for you, because that's what you deserve. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Let's get into an awesome conversation about the new standards that you're setting. It's really just so magical to see how much someone's energy changes when they start playing with this quantum potential. So yeah, I can't wait to talk to you about this. I'm so excited to share this information with you and to bring you so many more juicy episodes. Make sure you're following the podcast on Apple Podcasts at Getting Into Alignment. And don't forget to raise your standards and elevate your frequency.